Hello there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Escape the Shed. This time we're on the old railway track from Bolsover Castle Station, named after the castle behind me there, to Glatwell. In this episode we're looking for Palterton and Sutton Station. On the top of the hill there is Bolsover. You can see the spire of the local church, and closer to the camera is the place known as Carvale, and particularly the model village, which is now a listed structure, all those houses in the bottom there, because it's an old pit village, an old colliery model village, and one of the best preserved ones, if not the best preserved one, you'll find anywhere. And you may remember that in our last episode of Escape the Shed, looking at the lost railways of Bolsover, we went down a little track somewhere just through there, if you now see where I'm pointing. Somewhere through there, which took us down to the old Bolsover Castle railway station. But today we're flipping around 180 degrees and continuing down the railway track, down this much better preserved section here, under the dark trees, and towards the next station along the line, which is Palterton and Sutton. Now, this railway line was opened in 1890, and its main purpose was to carry coal, because there were lots of collieries in the area. There was Bolsover Colliery just behind me, Markham Colliery just a few miles down the road, and various others, including a colliery at Glatwell. But before we get to Glatwell on this line, we have to pass the little country station of Palterton and Sutton, which served a couple of little villages, basically. It was mainly for farm traffic, for transporting milk. Indeed, there used to be a daily milk train, and there were a few passenger services. The line closed to passengers in 1930, and closed to freight, I believe, in about 1950. The first thing we come to is this rather nicely preserved bridge. It's unusual because it's not just stone, it's got these really nice sort of cast metal, either iron or steel girders. Under the bridge you can see these kind of brick vaults that hold the whole thing up, made out of really high quality blue engineering brick. If you saw my last video about the railways of Bolsover, the lost railway, then you'll know that the bit of this trackway behind me that goes through the old Bolsover Castle Station isn't anywhere near as well preserved as this part, which you can see is a really wide trackway. This is because this is officially a part of the Stockley Trail, and I don't think the other part is now, but this bit is. So we're heading off towards Palterton and Sutton. Now, when we get to Palterton and Sutton Station, I'm not expecting to find a lot, because it's near to a road. I believe they call it Car Lane, and the problem is that that road used to go up and over a bridge, and the railway went underneath, but in, I think it was probably about the 1970s, maybe the 80s, again, they altered the road, took the hump out, and so flattened any trace of the station. But let's see if we can find anything at all. Now back there at Bolsover Castle Station, which I can remember being there, although it was disused, I remember it being there in the late 70s and very early 1980s perhaps. And a few excursion trains did run from it just before they demolished it. And it was a crime that that was demolished because it was a beautifully preserved station. But back there we did find bits and pieces of railway interest, because the line there was truncated and the line survived from back there, the Staveley end of the line. It survived to just this side of Bolsover Castle Station, because it was used by coal trains that were serving Bolsover Colliery at the time. And also there was a coalite works as well that I think used the railway tracks. All that's now gone, but it's only gone in sort of the last 20 years or so, which means that bit of the track was in use until about 20 years ago, 25 years ago. The problem is, though, now that this bit of the track that we're going on to went out of use a lot earlier, probably sometime in the 50s I think, or 60s. So whether we can find anything left here is anybody's guess, but let's see what we can do. It's also a lot further to walk to Palterton and Sutton station. The bridge is but a distant memory down there. Seems like miles back. And the path just keeps going forwards. Every time I walk down one of these old abandoned railway tracks, particularly a well-preserved one like this, I always think to myself how brilliant it would be if you could lay like a miniature railway track back down it, like a 7 1/4 inch gauge track or something, and run trains down it again. Derbyshire County Council, if you're listening, that's what you ought to do with this railway track. Even though we've not had any rain for a while, there is still some water standing just here. And that's going to be a bit of a theme for the part of our story regarding Palterton and Sutton station. The area around here, as well as being rich in coal, and hence the collieries that were around, is also quite a clayey soil. One of the reasons why there were a couple of brickworks in this area, and just looking back where we've just walked from, somewhere around here is I think where the brickworks used to be. And for years I looked for a brick that said Bolsover Brickworks on it and could never find one. But apparently they had different names. One of the names on the bricks that came from the brickworks in this area was Byron. So if you ever see a Byron brick, it probably came from somewhere round here. I'm coming up on what looks like some kind of gateway or crossing now, so maybe this is where the station was. It certainly looks right. If this is a road crossing up here, then it's most likely car lane. And if it's car lane, the station's somewhere around here. Bear in mind, as I say, they flattened the road out a few years back. It did used to go up and over here, and the trains went under a bridge. So we'll probably not find much of anything left of how it used to be. Looking in the undergrowth, it's difficult to see anything. But there's the well preserved trail, looking backwards, and in the undergrowth at the other side, still nothing really to be seen. And just as I'm approaching the roadway up there, I'm looking here and there's a path off through the woods. What's interesting is in this path I'm finding bits of brick, and I'm just wondering if any of these have got anything to do with A, the old station, or B, the brickworks. They certainly do look old. Does that say Byron on it? Is that an old Byron brick from the local brickworks? Could be. There's a more complete one. If I use a bit of stick. You can definitely see that says B-Y-R-O-N. Byron. It's a Byron brick from the local brickworks. So the question now is, was that brick originally part of a station that was somewhere around here? What's down there? Looks like the remains of some kind of old culvert. It probably ran alongside the railway tracks. It's certainly some kind of interesting remains. And more. Really nice old Byron bricks. So here we are, just a few paces away from where those bricks were, and I'm just about to go through a gateway which is here. It tells you that we're on the Stockley Trail. And this must be Car Lane. In fact it is, I recognise it. So this is where the railway line went across. So that little place on top of the hill up there is Palterton. Right up there, up this lane. And somewhere here, either on that side or that side, I'm not quite sure, but that looks like a fairly undisturbed field, so I'm guessing it was probably on this side. Somewhere around here was a station that served that place all the way up there. And you wonder why it closed. Would you walk from there down to here to catch your train? No. Me neither. Well, I'm on my way back now, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, looking for more of the lost stations around the Bolsover area, and particularly off this old line between Bolsover and Glatwell. In the next episode or at least in an upcoming episode, it might not necessarily be the next one, we're going to be looking for the old Blackwell station and finding out what remains of that. But if you enjoyed this video, then remember, please give it a like, and also why not subscribe to the Andy's Shed channel. We put up lots of videos, mostly to do with sort of history, and particularly industrial history, or antiques and stuff we've found at car boot sales that relates to history and things like that, and items that I've found and restored as well. So give us a subscribe on the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers at the moment, and I think we're at 300 and something so far, so everyone really does help. And also, if you've enjoyed it, check out the other videos by all means, but also check out our website at andyshed.copress.net, because on there you'll find background to some of the videos, and you'll find out about some of the other projects that I get involved with. So until the next time, thanks for watching, and if there's anything that you want to see, let us know in the comments below. We'll go and try and search it out. But for now, from a rather sunny Palterton and Sutton station, see you soon.